Most people think manipulation looks obvious: a villain, a liar, someone clearly trying to control you. But real psychological control almost never looks like that. In fact, the most effective manipulation often looks like kindness, concern, even friendship. And the most dangerous part? Most people never realize it's happening. Because the tricks used to influence you are often so subtle, they feel completely normal. Today we're breaking down 7 psychological tricks people use to control others. And once you see them, you'll start noticing them everywhere. Trick number 1, the foot in the door technique. It usually begins with something small. So small that saying yes feels harmless. Someone asks you for a tiny favor. Hey, could you help me with this one quick thing? It takes 2 minutes. You say yes. No big deal. But the next day they ask for something slightly bigger. Then another request a few days later. And before you realize it, you're doing things you never originally agreed to. This works because of a powerful psychological principle. Once people say yes to something small, their brain begins to see themselves as someone who cooperates with that person. And the mind hates inconsistency. So, when the next request comes, saying no suddenly feels uncomfortable. It feels like you're breaking your own pattern. So, the requests slowly grow, while your resistance slowly shrinks. By the time you notice it, the situation has already shifted. Trick number 2, the guilt trap. Some people don't control you through force. They control you through guilt. You've probably experienced this before. You say no to something, and suddenly the other person responds with disappointment. Not anger, not aggression, just quiet, emotional pressure. They might say something like, "I guess I'll just figure it out myself." Or, "It's okay. I thought I could count on you." Now suddenly the situation isn't about the request anymore. It's about how you feel about yourself. Humans naturally want to avoid feeling like the bad person. So instead of holding your boundary, you change your answer. Not because you want to, but because you want to escape the discomfort. And the person applying the guilt? They often know exactly what they're doing. Trick number 3, excessive flattery. Compliments are powerful. Everyone likes being appreciated. But sometimes compliments aren't about appreciation at all. They're about influence. Someone constantly praises you. They tell you how smart you are, how capable you are, how much they admire you. At first it feels good, but slowly something interesting begins to happen. You start wanting to maintain that positive image, and when that same person later asks you for something, it becomes harder to refuse. Because now, saying no risks disrupting the image they've created. Flattery creates emotional leverage. And when someone controls the way you feel about yourself, they can often guide the decisions you make. Trick number 4, the silent treatment. Most people think manipulation requires words, but sometimes the most powerful tactic is silence. You disagree with someone, you challenge their behavior, and suddenly they stop responding. No message, no conversation, just distance. At first, it seems like they just need time. But over time, the silence creates tension. Your brain starts searching for answers. Did I say something wrong? Did I upset them? Should I apologize? Eventually, many people give in just to restore the connection, even if they were right in the first place. The silence becomes a form of pressure, not loud pressure, but psychological pressure. And in many relationships, that pressure is incredibly effective. Trick number 5, creating artificial urgency. Imagine someone asking you to make a decision, but they say something like this: "You need to decide right now. This opportunity won't be available tomorrow. Everyone else already agreed." Suddenly you feel rushed. Your brain goes into reaction mode. And when people feel rushed, something important happens. They stop thinking carefully. Urgency narrows your attention. Instead of evaluating the situation fully, you focus on not missing out. Sales environments use this constantly. But it also happens in friendships, workplaces, and relationships. When someone removes your time to think, they also reduce your ability to resist. Trick number 6. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most confusing forms of psychological manipulation because it doesn't try to control your behavior directly. It tries to control your perception of reality. You remember something clearly, but the other person insists it never happened. Or they claim you misunderstood the situation. Or they say you're overreacting. Over time, repeated denial begins to create doubt. You start questioning your own memory, your own judgment, your own interpretation of events. And once someone can make you doubt yourself, they gain enormous influence, because now you're more likely to rely on their version of reality instead of your own. That's why gaslighting is so powerful. It doesn't just change decisions, it changes confidence. Trick number 7. The reciprocity trap. Humans are wired with a powerful social rule. If someone gives us something, we feel obligated to give something back. This is called reciprocity, and it's one of the oldest psychological triggers in human behavior. Someone does you a favor, buys you something, helps you unexpectedly, and immediately you feel the urge to repay them. Most of the time, this rule helps society function, but manipulators sometimes exploit it. They give something first, not out of kindness, but as an investment, because once you accept the favor, they know a request is coming later. And when it arrives, saying no suddenly feels uncomfortable, not because the request is fair, but because the psychological pressure has already been planted. The truth is, manipulation rarely looks dramatic. It rarely looks like a movie villain controlling people. Instead, it hides inside normal interactions. Small requests, compliments, silence, pressure, confusion. And most of the time, the people using these tactics don't announce what they're doing, which is why awareness is so powerful. Because the moment you recognize these patterns, they lose a lot of their power. You start noticing the pressure, the emotional traps, the subtle attempts to guide your decisions. And awareness creates something extremely important: choice. You can still help people, still cooperate, still build relationships. But now you're doing it consciously, not automatically. And sometimes the most powerful sentence you can learn to say is simple: no. If you want to understand more psychological patterns that shape human behavior, subscribe for more. Because once you start seeing the hidden psychology behind everyday interactions, you never look at people the same way again.